NFT Traders Club. In today's video, we're going to be interviewing museum official, talking about one-of-one art and one-of-one NFTs and just everything that museum is about. As always, these videos are brought to you by Ninjalerts. Ninjalerts is an NFT that you can purchase that grants you lifetime access to the app. That allows you to track your favorite whales, influencers, and friends. Anytime they mint, buy, or sell something, you get a smart notification sent to the device that you're using. So without further ado, good morning, Ken. How's it going today?
I'm good, Chris. Let's finish up strong, cause it's our Friday,
Yeah,
bro. It's our Friday. Get the energy up a little bit, man. We're about to be out of here, bro. How you doing, man? How's your day so far?
man, it's been rough, but I am
It's
fighting
been rough.
through. Yeah, man, I had a headache that turned into a migraine. But like I said, fighting through the day. Um,
Yeah, sounds like it, bro. It sounds like you just fight. We just started. We're in minute one, bro. It sounds like the day is almost over for you, man. Hey,
yeah,
what's
man.
up, Daniel? Welcome back, man. Risky, what's up? Good to hear from you, man.
So we'll
Yeah,
we'll pull up our guest soon. This is alpha that you shared with us earlier in the week, but I think people still have a little bit of time to claim the free Alpha Sharks tab or Alpha Sharks. I've- add what do you call it? Extension.
the Chrome
Uh,
extension.
yeah, the Chrome extension. So I want to give a quick display of that. We usually do our alpha at the end of the show, but being as we have a guest today, I'll go ahead and show that real quick. I think you're a bit more familiar with it than I am, but I started using it a bit. It's pretty cool, and it's free right now to use the extension. Basically, you can just go to any collection you like. Just trying to find a good example. This probably a label is
Yeah,
dropping on OpenSea. I guess it just sold out.
yeah, it just dropped. Yeah, I'm mad I didn't get a loud list for that one. I'll try
So
it
I'll
though.
man, this is a bad example too. I'll just go to gutter cats. We talk about gutter cats a lot on here. Look at a gutter cat gang. So basically,
Yeah, Risky, we know to cook, man.
you could see the percentage and like the ranking, like right on the front page. Like you can see this cat's what 676 with Alpha Shark. It gives you a couple more stats too, if you remember, but it's completely free if you go to the Alpha Sharks Twitter and click the link that they're running right now.
Yeah, you get it for free lifetime Chrome extension use. You just got to connect your wallet. So make sure you go to the right Alpha Sharks Twitter. Let
Mhm.
me let me find it right real quick.
Now, I actually didn't connect my
Uh,
wallet for this one.
oh, you didn't?
Do you get more benefits if you connect your wallet?
You get it for free. Whatever whatever you get from it, you get from it, bro. It's
Okay.
the
Well, I'm
whole
saying
thing.
I'm
I
running it
don't
right.
know.
I'm running it right now without having a connect to my wallet. So unless I'm like missing out on some features or something.
You did you connect your wallet to the actual extension when you signed up? Because it
No.
says for next 3 days, anyone can claim free lifetime access for Alpha Shark Chrome extension. So I believe there's one more day. This is probably the last day, actually.
Yeah, today's probably the
So
last day. That's why I was bringing it up because we haven't talked about it
yeah,
on the show.
yeah. So just download the Chrome extension and let's see if it's something different from yours. Let me go to another browser to OpenSea because things like to pop up when I control the screen. So let's see, gutter cats. Let
Oh
me
yeah, that
post it up.
probably label is trending right now. It's at a 0.21 floor. I don't know what the mint price. Let's see. The mint price was 0.09. So it's a easy 2x right now.
So is this blurred out for you?
Hmm. Let's see.
Are you
Yes.
showing it on
Okay.
you?
Okay. So yeah, there are differences. You do need to connect with your wallet.
Yeah, yeah. You do
So
get some
I need
stuff
to
blurred out.
I need to do that before the day ends.
Yeah, yeah. Most likely. Well, yeah. I'm glad you shared alpha today, Chris. You've been sharing alpha every week now, bro. It's kind of weird. You usually like to keep things to yourself until it's time to dump.
No, man, I'll give people a couple hours before this closes off. Yeah, that
Mm.
probably a label looked pretty cool. I didn't know a whole lot about it, but I know it was they did the mint directly on OpenSea and it cooked pretty quickly.
Launchpad, yeah. The
Mm,
music, OpenSea is getting into music, and probably a label is, it's probably a label, bro.
yeah.
I think there's some big investments into the probably a label too. I haven't done too much research into it because I didn't get the allow list. Because you know how that goes. If I got allow list, then I'll do more research. But if I didn't
Did
in this
you have
market, what's
a
the point?
chance for allow list? Like, did you have a raffle for
Yeah, I
this
have a
one?
few. I had a few raffles. Missed, missed all of
Well,
them.
looks like a lot of MVHQ guys went in. We had JJ, K Fish, Griff, lots of people kind of went in from like point one six to point two.
You alright? Looks like a lot of people going. That
Yeah,
JJ, it's Thursday. Let's finish strong, Chris. Let's get our guest in here, man. Talk about museum,
Good morning. Good morning.
morning.
museum. Welcome, man. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show,
I'm good. How
Museum
are you guys?
Official. We're good. Is this your name or what do we
No,
call
I'm
you?
Ferris.
Museum?
So I'm the
Fair.
I'm the co-founder of Museum.
Oh, nice to meet you, Ferris. Welcome to the show, man. Very glad to have you here. I heard some things about Museum from NFT Nate. He said that we had a space about it. We have spaces every Monday through Thursday at night with NFC Now. We're gonna have one again tonight as well. Chris is gonna be on there, and he was talking. That's where I heard. I've been seeing it around. I've joined a few allow lists for it. I don't think I've hit yet, bro. I'm not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't hit yet, but I have heard some good things about it. I'm glad to have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Cool. So Ferris, we usually ask our guests the first few questions about how they got into NFTs and their journey into NFTs. So, what was your entrance?
Yeah, I think the NFT world was captivating back last year. In probably August. I'd first kind of heard all of the stuff happening in NFTs. Board Ape Yacht Club had released not too long prior to that. Had a lot of friends talking about it, and I just kind of ventured into it. Initially, as someone who was, kind of collecting as well as trading a little bit on the NFT side. And
Wait, you ventured
then
into the apes?
I didn't. No, unfortunately
Oh,
not.
okay.
I was a little bit late, but yeah, I had a couple friends who had kind of told me check this out. Looked into it, spent some time kind of understanding everything about the NFT market, and then I think it was November of last year. My sister and I had decided to start museum. We'd noticed a big gap in the NFT space of kind of fine art. There was known origin and there was super rare and a couple other marketplaces that were focusing on fine art, but no one was really doing it in a way that made it simple for an artist to transition into the space. So that it was kind of born out of a more need from artists we've been working with who said, "Hey, I want to move into NFTs," than just trying to create a project.
Oh, cool. I want to hear what artists were you collecting? Like, what artists attracted you to the NFT space?
You
Like,
know,
did
I
you
think
collect
I
one
think
of
one of
ones?
Yeah, I collect a couple of one of ones. I will say I haven't really collected anything in the last few months. Haven't really had the time to kind of look into anything. But yeah, I mean, I've collected a couple of the art blocks collections. I've looked at some of the one of ones, and I'd say I'm definitely more on the kind of other side of it of builder rather than collector. But I also, in Web 2, I collect
You
more than I
can't you can't
do.
say that without builder hands, bro. You're a builder. Yes, yes. You gotta own it.
Yeah. So yeah, I
So
mean, I think I have, of course, also building museum. I've been able to meet a lot of incredible collectors who are the sorts that own the top projects, and it's from everyone I've kind of spoken to, the whole one of one side is very interesting to them. They just haven't really found a path to kind of explore it. And that's kind of what we try to fill. I think if you go on Super Rare, there's so many artists that are amazing. There's so many incredible pieces, but the whole side of like curation and knowing what to buy and all the details related to a piece are pretty complex for the average person who doesn't know too much about NFTs.
So how does museum simplify these things?
So what we've done is we've kind of brought together 100 artists from the Middle East and Africa. We spent nearly 7 months doing that. My sister, who's also my kind of co-founder, was the one who led that. She initially started by looking at the artists we'd kind of been with and had collected from and known, and then from there they started talking about their friends started talking about it, and then eventually it got to the stage where there was a variety of kind of artists who were really interested in joining a museum. We were probably at about 40 or 50 artists, just because of word of mouth and kind of connections and all of that. And then we're like, let's do something which the NFT space has never seen, which is working with 100 traditional artists. So what we did is we did the traditional outreach. A lot of it was cold outreach, a lot of it was via kind of the artists themselves. But I think we spoke to nearly 1,000 artists, reached out to probably 3,000 of them to kind of curate the 100 we have today. And the beautiful thing about the collection is we have artists all the way from some who have sold for high six figures, mid to high six figures, as well as artists who are selling their first piece ever via museum. So it's a massive range of artists, massive range of kind of establishment, and every piece. I mean, I'm seeing you're scrolling through the website right now. Every single piece looks entirely different from the next, which kind of adds to that concept of it's already pre-curated for you. You don't have to go scroll through 100,000 pieces. Here, we've already done a lot of the due diligence as to what the artist has done in the past and what their work is and so forth, so that you can just come in, pick your favorite piece, and mint it.
Is this the first time that a lot of these artists has heard of NFTs?
I'd say probably 90% hadn't heard of NFTs before museum was kind of brought to them as an opportunity. There's a few of them who've had success already in the NFT world. Whether that's like there's a couple artists who've added on traits for generative collections, similar to like what Murakami did for Clone X. There have been some artists who, have their own one of ones and so forth. But in general, almost all of them, we had to educate them from the ground up on what an NFT was and how we kind of fit into that landscape.
Awesome.
How
Do
do
you guys? Oh, sorry. You can go.
no go ahead.
You got it, buddy.
Uh, how do the artists that are in this collection? How do they benefit?
It's a variety of ways. The first is on the kind of collector side. They are exploring, a collector base that is generally larger than that of the traditional Web 2 world. Of course, there's many more fine art collectors in Web 2, but they're spread out throughout the world. They're harder to reach as well. So I think with museum, the first thing is that they get access to a larger collector base. And then the second thing is kind of it's a new opportunity for them to explore the ecosystem. They're getting we work on a revenue share model with them, so they make money, we make money. That's the only way it works. It's not like we'll make money and they won't. Every kind of transaction is a revenue share with them, so we're both incentivized to kind of give these artists opportunities to sell their works. And then on the back end, once an artist is kind of graduated from our residence program where they're working with us and they're in our collection, we set up a lot of future looking opportunities so that if they want to go and do a generative project, or they want to go and explore more one of ones or whatever it is, we have kind of connections and networking for them to explore if they decide to do that. So it's kind of a long term opportunity for them more than it is kind of just on the money side.
And on the money side, would you be able to divulge the splits?
I don't think I am, just due to legal agreements. But
Okay.
it's fair to say that they're definitely getting a significant chunk of the mint revenue.
Okay. I just want to make sure these artists are taken care of, especially if they're, African artists as well.
For sure. Yeah.
Are there so I guess if is there like contracts involved, or like what if like one artist just wants to drop, like are you gonna guys rotate it out with another artist?
So
I
yeah,
mean, I know you said you curated down from like 3,000, so obviously these 100 are probably pretty committed and understand what they're getting into. But just for years to come.
for sure. Yeah, I think, all of them who are part of the collection have legal agreements with us. We're not exclusive where we're like, hey, you can only sell NFTs with museum. That doesn't really make sense to do. So what we're doing is kind of, offering them an opportunity to explore NFTs with museum, but we're not forcing them for that to be the only path. And in the event, let's say that an artist no longer wants to drop with us for whatever reason, there's a lot of artists who are very interested in doing what in being part of our collection. And in general, they probably will be kind of pretty interested in joining in the event that one of them drops. So I think in terms of legal agreements, it's not normally meant to be the case where they're just able to kind of, hey, we're dropping the collection. But of course, we are able to kind of facilitate that if someone has some reason as to why they need to.
How did you find these artists? Like how, like, cause this is a lot of artists spread across the world, pretty much. How did you find them? They're not in your backyard, are they? Like,
No, yeah.
where is your
So
backyard, by the way? Like, you in the U.S. or you in
yeah, I'm in the US, so I spend about half of my time here in California, and then the other half I spent in Dubai.
Okay.
So, you know, to a certain degree, there was a lot of artists that I've collected from, and my sister has, when we were in Dubai, where, we have the first probably 4 or 5 artists. That's how we brought them on. It's people that we'd collected from. We reached out to them, said, hey, what are your thoughts on NFTs? A lot of them were worried about it. They didn't want to move into the scene. A lot of them were, interested in it. And then from there, we built the initial kind of base. And then, as time progressed, they continued to reach out to their friends. Their friends were interested in what we were doing. And then, at a certain point, as I mentioned, we were at like 40 or 50 artists. And then we just kept pushing. We kept reaching out on Instagram, going through all of the top kind of lists of artists that have been sold in Sotheby's and Christie's and other top auction houses, and working with curators to kind of bring in additional artists as well. So it was a pretty involved process for sure, and it took a lot of time to kind of bring all. It was almost 7 months to bring the 100 that we have today.
So would this be like a some sort of a marketplace? Like, is there still revenue share like in OpenSea or secondary markets like that?
Yeah. So for the initial drop, it's all done through our website. We built a fully custom mint platform in order to kind of, the way it'll work is you'll pick your favorite piece and you'll mint it. Rather than, the traditional NFT concept of one mint button, you don't know what you're getting. And then you may, get a floor piece and then you go and dump it or whatever it is. With
That's the fun
museum,
part, bro.
with the one of one side of things, every piece is rare in it of itself. It's not like it's a generative work where it's a common or it's 60% rated or whatever it is. And it kind of the concept of getting minting and then not knowing what you're getting is pretty common, as and it's right. It's the fun side of things. It's kind of the gambling degenerate concept of, hey, I just minted for point one and I
Yeah.
just flipped it
Oh
for two
yeah.
ETH. So I think it's something which works for sure with a traditional like PFP. But on the side of kind of one of ones, you want to know what you're buying. You want to kind of resonate with the artist, feel exactly the connection to it. Maybe an artist has a similar story to you, or they have a kind of background that you enjoy, or whatever it is. You're probably going to be more pulled to that artist and at least explore more about them than some random artist who you maybe never have heard of. And with that, as I mentioned, we have some artists who are on the upper ends of the art market who have sold for big money, and we have some who are on kind of the first entering the scene. They're more emerging, and the only way it made sense for us to do that was essentially priced each NFT with its own kind of pricing. So, rather than having a one mint button, let's say it was zero point 0.5 ETH or whatever it is, the way we've structured it is we have pieces that range from zero point 0.1 on the low end all the way up to like, I think, nearly 30 or 40 ETH. And what
Oh
that
shit!
means, yeah,
It's for mints.
for sure. Yeah. So I mean, the way it works is, it kind of opens it up to a larger audience. Most of the fine art projects mint, between zero point 0.5 and 2 ETH. That's pretty normal in the fine art world. But what about all the people who are trying to buy in at the lower end, or the whales who want to come and buy a specific piece at the upper end? It kind of, doesn't allow them to enter the scene. So we've kind of set that up where if a collector wants to, they can go and buy the cheapest piece in our collection. If they love an artist and they want to go buy it, they can go buy it for, zero point 0.7 ETH or 1 ETH or whatever it is. Or if someone's like, I really love Anna De Castro, she's one of my favorite artists, I want to go buy one of her pieces, you're looking at the 20, 30 ETH range. So, it really depends on the artist and kind of their previous sales history as to how we price the NFT.
Okay, now that you said that, I'm gonna go try to find Anna De Castro. Was I think my internet is slow or something, but the thing is not popping up no more, bro.
Yeah,
It
sometimes.
wasn't popping up for me earlier. I was trying to get to stuff,
You saw it
and
pop up with me just now,
I
right?
did, I did. Then I went to go try to do it, and nothing went.
Uh,
Yeah, it's pretty. We're trying to make the artist tab load a little bit quicker because we've noticed that
doesn't
having
work.
so many files, on
Oh,
there kind of makes it slow down. So for some browsers it doesn't work.
oh, okay. I'm on Brave browser, by the way. If that
Maybe
helps.
that's why. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it all loaded up. Isn't it all just one? It doesn't refresh when you just. Ah, here we
There
go.
we go.
It's because it's all the same like web page. Like
Yeah,
it's like just another tab. So it should have already been loaded up. So you
yeah.
said Anna. I'm trying to
Anna De
find her.
Castro. Let me see.
Anna
She's
De
right there.
Castro right here.
Yeah.
Her works go for 30 ETH,
Her works go
or
for
is
10
going
times
to.
that. Her works go for 10 times that in the
Really?
Web 2 world, But Web 3, we've taken a big discount. Like if you click on her Instagram and you go check out her stuff,
I'm things pop. I want to pop it up on my other browser
sure.
first, cause yeah, things pop up on my Instagram to sign in, and I
I'll
don't.
just do it, man. Be brave with your Brave
No,
browser.
I'm using Brave. I am Brave. I'm automatically Brave. Here it is. This is her Instagram.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the pieces you see on here are
Mm,
included in our collection. Her gallerist in Dubai, Layla Heller, sells her pieces for generally 200 to 300,000. Some are on the lower end, some are on the higher end. It really depends on a
mm.
per piece basis. But when we're taking the NFT version, we're taking a massive discount, and that's how it is for every piece. With museum, the average price of our NFT is generally 50% lower than that of the physical. So, if an artist, tends to sell their work for $1,000 for every piece, the museum NFT would probably be between 300 and 500. That's kind of the, average throughout the collection.
Okay, that's cool, man. This is looking good. Like I do like her artwork. So they're really it's all based on the artist itself. So you have to choose the one you want. How does like what if people all just gravitate towards the top and the newer artists don't get any love? Like how does that do they just stay on the shelf or is somebody just gonna buy them regardless?
Yeah, I think kind of on the back end of it, assuming, let's say, so there's 1,001 pieces, assuming only a few hundred are minted or whatever it is. It's not like we're setting a specific date as to when the public will close. The public will kind of live on forever. Ideally, it wouldn't be forever. We have our second drop of Asia, which will probably come in quarter 1 of next year. So, we're mindful of that. But The good thing about one of ones versus a traditional NFT project, let's say your mint price was 1 ETH and you're an art project, and then now it's down to zero point 0.6. It's like the remaining supply at that 1 ETH mark. There's a very, very low chance that anyone will go and mint that unless there's, some big thing that pushes the floor price up. Versus with museum, having so many one of ones means that regardless of kind of how the secondary is doing, there could be a collector who really, really loves a specific artist's work and they decide to go and mint it, just because they want to collect that specific piece or they resonate with that, piece's story or whatever it is. So I think that's kind of one of the benefits. And, regardless of how well it does initially, our team is going to continue to bring in more people from Web2 to continue minting and buying these collections and these pieces as time progresses. So, the mint out may not be, 6 minutes or 10 minutes like it was for probably a label this morning, but it could be, in the range of a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And, anything there is perfectly normal for a fine art project. When you walk into a gallery or you walk into a museum or whatever it is, most pieces aren't sold instantly. They take a bit of time to sell. You have to find the right collector. It has to have the right marketing. It has to be displayed correctly. And then eventually you may find someone who's willing to kind of acquire the piece. Versus with museum, I mean, and a traditional kind of project, we are enabling that same concept. But yeah.
How long have you guys been working on this?
So we started the project in November of last year. So it's been what, almost 11
A
months.
year.
Yeah, almost a year. And it's been, a variety of kind of things. My sister led curation for the first 7 months. And then, now for the last 5 months, she's kind of helped with, everything else related to museum. But through that entire time, I've been focusing on kind of building the back end of museum. And there's two sides to it. The first is the artists, where we want to make their transition simpler. And then, for the collectors who come and mint, or the collectors who come and hold or buy off secondary, we want to make their exploration into Web 2 fine art as well as Web 3 fine art significantly easier. And we do that a variety of ways. We built essentially the concept of a private members club where everyone who's part of a museum gets access to the museum, which is kind of like, our version of, if you're looking at Azuki, the garden, or, Bored Apes Yacht Club. It's a concept of a group of individuals all with kind of like-minded goals and focus around art. And we grant those people access to a variety of things. Everything from, like, you're based in New York, or, in the US, you may want to go to the Guggenheim or the Met, or, the hundreds of other museums in the city, and we have relationships with over 120 museums, I believe, throughout the world, where you can walk into San Francisco MoMA or into, the Shanghai kind of, top museum, or in Berlin or the Louvre or wherever it is, and get access to all of that for free if you hold a museum piece. So
Oh
that's
wow,
like
Is that
yeah,
a fact?
yeah, that's a fact. So that's already been set up. That will be
Oh,
accessible from day one.
that's huge.
Yeah, so for the collectors who really care about the fine art scene, it's like a amazing opportunity. If you're someone who frequently visits museums, it becomes very expensive. Let's say I'm going to Paris and I want to go visit the Louvre, lines could be a couple hours. Tickets may be $30, $40 if it's a heavy day or whatever it is. Versus with us, you kind of pre-book all of that. It's all ready to go, and then you don't have to kind of worry about anything. It just kind of is a very simple process to walk into the museum, show your ticket, and now you're into the museum without ever having to worry about any of the lines or anything. So that's kind of one of the key, private members club benefits, and it's a variety of other things as well. We have our first physical location, being, it's in the process
you
of being
guys have a physical location?
it's in the process of being created. So it will be done probably Q1 of next year, where you can walk in. I'll say I'm not meant to say the location, but for the alpha purposes, it's in Dubai. So,
Okay.
the way it'll work is you'll walk in, you'll be able to immerse yourself in the art. You'll be able to kind of, interact with one of the pieces, the artists. There's a bunch of events that happen there. it's kind of like, we're building that, what we're calling a museum, where people can come and explore the art. And we have, the other side of it where these museum partners we work with, the Guggenheim, the Met, and so forth, we're also talking to them about potentially putting in a specific corner for museum. So, we would have um, our kind of brand in a lot of these big museums. And, we're aiming to do a pretty significant number in 2023 where we're kind of setting up these pop-up short-term locations where people can come check them out, and if they want to kind of explore deeper into the ecosystem. So the physical side is very important for us. We think you have to do that in order to kind of onboard these Web2 collectors. And that's kind of the long-term approach we have of including both the physical side as well as the Web3 and Web2 kind of ecosystem all into one.
So, what is the like private club? Like, is it a token based club, or like how does one get in? Is it already out? Is it something that's going to be released?
So yeah, the it's token gated. The way it'll work is if you own an NFT, you'll go on our website. We're creating something called the digital dashboard, which is kind of like, essentially, rather than having to go to Discord and Twitter and all the different places in order to interact with museum, it's one hub that we built. There will be a fee-free marketplace on there where, rather than having to go on OpenSea or LooksRare or wherever it is, you can trade our pieces there.
No
And
fees,
no,
no
no
royalties.
royalties, yes, but no fees.
Okay.
So we're cutting out the 2.5% from OpenSea, and kind of, offering that as an opportunity for collectors who want to buy from our marketplace rather than on OpenSea. Of course, royalties we have to incorporate because that's how our artists kind of, are there long term. Our business model is not centered around royalties. But for our artists, it's very important where if they sold a piece for 30 ETH and now someone just traded it for 300 ETH, they need to kind of be in that action. And that's why we're also looking at. I mean, QQL just did this where Tyler Hobbs kind of stopped X2Y2 from being able to you know offer their collection. It's something we're looking at as well, and of course we'll make an announcement if we end up doing that. But the royalties are a very important part for a one-of-one artist. It's we think one of the more important things long term. And I mean, even look at Tyler Hobbs' original collection, Fidenza. His mint, I believe, was only like 500 ETH or 400 ETH back then. But because the secondary royalties have been so large, I think on the back end he's generated probably 4,000 ETH off of secondaries alone, and that's kind of what's enabled him to build up QQL and build up his kind of network of collectors and so forth. Um, but yeah, that digital dashboard is kind of going to be where you're able to sign up for the events. You're able to connect with other members. You can DM one another. You can kind of chat. It's basically the members club, which is of course linked to the physical, but the Meta Museum, and all of the stuff we're doing on the Web 2 and Web 3 side are just put in one hub rather than having to go to a variety of different places.
Uh, let's talk about the ops you guys have over that 1 year mark. There's been some, like the Goda Pass gallery of digital art, right? That came out and they're doing something similar. And also Christie's just announced that they're gonna be spending about 75 mil or so going into digital artworks. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, do you have any reaction towards those kind of events?
Yeah, I think honestly they're net positives for the art scene. I think MoMA, with their announcement of moving into the scene, and Christie's now doing their marketplace, that's big institutional money moving in from Web 2 into Web 3. And I think that's a net positive not only for the art scene but the overall NFT scene as a whole. I mean, looking at projects like Goda, their concept is slightly different than ours. They started with a mint pass, and then they work with one artist at a time, take their works. Generally they push them down the route of kind of generative. They create a PFP collection or whatever it is, and then their collectors, are kind of interested in whatever it is, so they go and mint it. And I think it's an interesting concept for sure, but it's different from us in the sense of we focus exclusively right now on one of ones, where we want it to be where long term, this first drop, the physical art is not included. And the main reason why is just logistics. If you can imagine, we'd have to bring in 1,000 pieces from 100 different artists into one central location. From there, we'd have to package it and be able to ship it to 1,000 other locations. So it would be a complete, pain logistically, to kind of set that up. But for our next drop of Asia, we're offering that to our artists, where if they want to include a physical version of the piece, they can do that. And then the collector can kind of redeem the NFT for the physical, or vice versa. Actually, they can switch
That's
from
really
the
cool.
physical
I like
back into the
I like
NFT.
that a lot.
Yeah. So, that's kind of what we're building. And I mean, I'm sure you can probably imagine building a facility like that is high seven figures to kind of manage the logistics for that many artists and that many collectors and that many pieces. So it's something we've already started, breaking ground on. But it's going to be more of like, the next 4 to 6 months before we can actually handle that sort of volume.
So I did ask this earlier, but I think I probably just asked too compound of a question. But like, what is your like Genesis Pass? Like, what's it called? Is it available, or like when will it be available?
So rather than doing the Genesis Pass concept, Museum Collection One, or all these 100 artists that we're working with and these 1,000 pieces, they serve as the Genesis. And essentially, if you're
Oh, gotcha.
if you mint this Genesis kind of NFT collection of 1,001 pieces, you get two things in one, both the art and the utility. Versus with some of the other kind of utility passes, it's an ERC 1155 with all the same image. You're not really attached to the piece as much as you are, if you were to buy it as a one of one and you really enjoy the art and you want to hang it on your wall, for example. So, I think kind of combining them was a very strategic decision. We could have, gone down the path of drop a utility pass and then drop the collection next, and do it kind of the way that some people have done it in the past. But in the past, but we wanted to kind of combine those into one. And if you hold one of these pieces, you get access to everything we're building on the back end. So the
Okay,
future drops, the collections, everything.
that's huge. So like, if Ken wanted to go snag that like Anna one that we looked at earlier, he would also have like he'd also be able to use that to like get into physical museums and participate in everything else that
Exactly.
you guys are. Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, how did you guys onboard these artists into NFTs? Because I know a lot of artists have a lot of traditional artists have shied away from NFTs because they do. A lot of them believe it's a scam. How are you able to convince 1,000 artists that NFTs are not a scam?
Yeah. So the way we kind of approached bringing on these artists was education key. Education was very key with them. That's why we had 1,000 calls to bring in these 100. We would sit down with every single one. Kind of explain to them what the NFT space is all about. Kind of how we fit into it, and that was normally 20, 30 minutes where it's pure just education. We created blog posts and articles which we sent to them as well. And a variety of other things to kind of educate them on the NFT space as a whole. But it wasn't, like, of course, we had some artists who were also kind of representatives for others, where we had some who've already sold pieces and have been in the space, so they were able to kind of talk to the other ones and also tell them, this is legit. It's something which you should definitely explore. But it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was a lot of time just spent educating and a lot of time trying to kind of explain the whole NFT space to them.
Yeah, so I don't believe I received the answer. How do you feel about Christie's and all these major players getting into the space?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I think I mean Christie's is building their NFT marketplace. I think they announced it. I don't know if they already did, but that's going to be I think pretty influential for bringing Web 2 artists into Web 3. And I mean on the back end with MoMA, they have 70 million, which they're selling their physical art to buy NFTs. but they also have a bunch of patrons who are probably going to put in a few hundred million. So they're probably going to have a pretty large fund, dedicated to just NFT projects and, buying one of ones and gen art and stuff like that. So I think it's a net benefit for the whole community rather than just the fine art community.
Yeah, what was the last physical artist you collected,
The
if you can
last
remember?
physical artist, the last piece I actually bought wasn't from an artist. It was from, Iconic actually. So I'd met with Jeremy from Meta Relics, and they were like, "You got to check out Iconic." I went on their website, bought a piece. That was last month or so. Um, but yeah, I think that was the
What's
most recent one.
what's iconic? This is my first time hearing about that.
They're pretty big. They're kind of a print company where if you want to buy prints of art, you can go and do that, and kind of display it on your wall. Pretty affordable. Actually, very affordable. I think I only spent $300-400 on their piece of art, and it's beautiful. It's a print, of course, so you don't get the same kind of connection to it as you would with an original, but still awesome. So I think. And they dropped Meta Relics, which I don't know if you guys know, but that was the one backed by Gary Vee and a variety of other people. And then they recently did Sneaks of Nature. But yeah, that's it. That's for sure an interesting project.
Okay, and you have the physical. Um, what artist it was the on the iconic?
I don't know the artist. I don't think they put the artist, but it was a astronaut with a bunch of kind of planets that he was holding by a string. It was super cool. I liked the piece. I hadn't really collected something like that in the past, so I decided to buy it.
I got a kind of off the wall question, more so for one of one art than museum itself, but like, what recommendation do you have as somebody who's obviously clearly involved with one of ones for like artists that are wanting to do one of one art in the NFT space? Because I feel like it's like if I was an artist, I feel like even if I was really good, I wouldn't know where to start, or I'd be like, why would I put it on there? Because the discoverability is so difficult, because like you can't just take a Web 2 audience and expect them to buy a Web 3 piece, So like, what advice would you give for that? Like a one-on-one artist trying to get into the space.
Yeah, I think as a one-on-one artist, it's pretty difficult to move into the scene for sure. And we've seen a lot of even high-end artists from Web 2 drop collections. We've seen celebrities drop collections, and their Web 2 audiences don't convert. And there's a variety of reasons as to why that happens, but I think one of the major ones is just kind of a lack of understanding of what the NFT space wants. And our minting structure, the way we're setting this up, is a complete experiment. No one's done anything like this. No one's taken the approach of you pick your piece for a different price, and then from there you mint it, and then it gets you access to all of this. I mean, there's of course been utility drops, there's been one of one drops, but nothing in the form of one collection on one website. Um, so I think that's kind of an interesting approach. But for the traditional artist who wants to move into the scene, the best thing they can do is educate themselves on the space. Spend some time collecting from their friends, spend some time kind of understanding how the NFT space works, and you know try to essentially, in the Web 2 world, most of the high end artists have either a gallerist or a manager or an agent or all three, and we think that, in the Web 3 scene, there needs to be more people who are doing net positives for the artists, and helping them transition into the scene, and kind of make it a simpler process for them to understand Web3. I think a lot of artists who are super high end, even in Web2, have difficulty getting on platforms like Super Rare, or on other curated platforms, and there's a variety of reasons there. But it's just, what does the Super Rare community and the guys who are kind of curating think is going to do well? So honestly, I think it's just try to learn the space as much as you can, and then start simple. Start with a couple of pieces, and then ideally find someone who can kind of help you and guide you through the path of exploring Web 3.
Do you
Where
think that you guys will ever go above 100 artists, or do you think that maybe you'll ever like feature different artists at different times?
Yep, great question. So yeah, the second drop of Asia is looking to be between 100 and 200 artists. So there, I mean, the continent is massive, and we've built a pretty large team now. So we're not as manpower stressed as we were when we were first curating kind of this first drop. But I think Asia will probably be about 150, 200, honestly, and that will be everyone from like top tier again to artists who are first exploring the NFT scene and all sorts of mediums, and then in between each of these major drops where we work with at the minimum 50 artists. We're going to go up to probably 300 for when we finally hit Europe, which is our last collection planned. That's going to be a big drop, probably about 300 artists. And the sequence is first Middle East and Africa, then we go to Asia, we go around to the Oceanic region, New Zealand, Australia, the Polynesian countries, loop around the globe to North America, and then South America, Europe.
It's a
So
lot of looping, bro.
for sure, yeah.
You're looping around the globe, bro. You're globe
I
Yeah,
like
trotting.
it. I like it.
for sure.
It's
And the
smart.
concept of the curation is like Middle East and Africa in general are the most underrepresented artists in the world. If you look at the
That's a
US,
fact.
artists, have significantly easier jobs of selling their work versus, let's say, you're an artist from Kenya or whatever it is, you generally have to go to South Africa in order to sell your work. So that's where most of the fine art happens in Africa. And then in the Middle East, let's say you're a Lebanese artist, the goal is to normally ideally get to like Dubai where you're displayed at one of the top locations there. So, in general, it's like they're highly underrepresented. They need to kind of, be more represented. We want to bring them more audience and more people that care about them, which is why we started there. And then as we progress, Asia is a region which has incredible artists and incredible galleries. And, we just saw the drop with Live Art and Huang, which just sold, 1,000 pieces at 1.2 ETH, and I think that's like, an example of the culture there, where a lot of whales really like to collect fine art, and then as we move, to the next one of Oceanic region, again, those artists are pretty underrepresented. Come to the U.S., that will be one of the major ones, followed by South America, which will be interesting. I think South American art is beautiful, and I think there's going to be some incredible artists there that we work with. And then Europe, that's where pretty much most of the art transactions in the world happen. It's between US and Europe. So there's incredible artists there. And then in between, let's say that, we're on collection 3 of the Oceanic region, and an artist from, Japan just said, hey, I really want to drop a collection with museum. I'm, vetted, I've done my stuff, I'm a great artist. And we say, we agree with them. We think that they should be one of the artists that drops with the museum. We'll do it through our launchpad, which is kind of one off. If an artist approaches us, we can either, if they want to, we can push and help them on the generative side, or if they want to just drop their piece as one of ones, we can do that as well. So in between the major ones, we have these minor collections with one artist at a time.
My first NFT collection I ever minted was artist from Africa, where the proceeds went to a women's
Prince,
dance.
the Nigerian
No,
prince.
it went to a women's orphans dance and music school. It was really cool. Ken always makes me feel bad about it because it didn't boom, but it was for a good cause.
I make you feel bad about what? This is my first time hearing about this, Chris.
about giving about spending that ETH on a charity and supporting
You
African
spend an
artists.
ETH on charity?
That's
You
what you
never
made me
bought
feel bad.
anything for an ETH, bro. What are you
That's what you made me feel about. That's what you made me
I'm
feel
sure
bad
you
about.
spent .015. Talking
No,
about spending an
I
ETH
spent a
on
good bit.
charity.
I spent a decent amount on this one actually, but yeah, that was my first ever NFT ETH mint.
Oh, that's the one you said rugged you?
It didn't.
And you
They didn't
said
rug
you
it.
got
I mean,
rugged.
they didn't rug it. They kind of botched their launch and they botched their communication. So like things just ended up falling off. I'm still talk to the artist. His name's Oo Anetti. And he like I'm still like friends with him. He's still involved with the space. He's still producing good art. But yeah, Ken makes me feel bad about it, even though it went to a good cause.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. This is my first time hearing about this, man. You just told me you bought a rug and you was popping back for whitelist. That's all you.
First time hearing about that.
It is talking about kids in Kenya. What? What do you? You never mentioned any
Yeah,
thing?
man. It,
You
it
just
went
told me it
to
was a rug. Your first thing ever was a
I did
rug, and that
not
was
tell
it.
you that. I did not.
That's what you told. You told me the first NFT
we're
you
gonna have to
ever minted was a rug, and
we're gonna have
that's
to play
it.
back the tape.
Yeah, we
Play
will,
back the
man.
Yeah.
We will.
tape.
So I do have a question for you though. I could imagine a lot of these artists they don't really have iPads or digital artwork like that. Are you guys converting physicals into digital, or do these artists already digital artists?
So most of them are not digital artists. They're traditional artists who create paintings or sculptures or whatever it is. And we didn't want to force them to go digital, like go get an iPad or go get whatever it is and create digital works. That doesn't really make it an easy transition. We want to simplify their process rather than forcing them to do something they may not want to. So the way we work is we kind of encapsulate and we digitize their physical work into an NFT, which then is kind of put on the blockchain. A lot of artists, the physical piece is either going to be held in their personal collection forever with no plans on selling it in the future. Some of them, they created for us and they've already kind of put it out to the community and it's been sold to a proper Web2 art collector. So I think it's definitely interesting for someone who wants to kind of buy a piece from one of our artists. They can do that for you know essentially between a third and half of the price that what someone in the physical world would pay for it. But yeah, correct. Some of them are digital artists. One of my favorite artists in the collection, his work is digitally native. It's incredible. But we have also some other artists who are traditional sculptors who have spent years creating their craft.
What's his name? The one of your favorite that's already digital.
If you go on the website, his name is Abdul Fazl Filu. I think his Instagram is Filoo.
Yeah, yeah. The website is it's not
It's rugging you.
it's not showing no love out here, bro. I'll lie
Here,
to
let
you.
me let me send you the. God, I need to see what's up.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
man.
because of the stream. Not sure why, but
Yeah, let's call it the stream.
yeah,
Yeah, and the about page is also kind of lacking too. It's
yeah,
not it's not
interesting.
really clickable.
Let me check from my computer real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me visit that. Hopefully it doesn't pop. All right, here we go. Just gotta remove that pop up before I put it up. Okay, this is the Philo.
yeah,
Nice. Yo, this is pretty dope, and this is all digital.
correct. Yeah, his stuff is digital.
This is nice. And he's gonna have 10 pieces on in the museum.
Correct. Yeah, so he'll have 10 pieces with us.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
weird.
cool.
I just checked on my computer for the website and it's not working, but then I go on my other computer which isn't streaming and it worked. So maybe that's why. I'm not sure. Kind of
It's
weird.
working again now. It
Okay.
comes in and it comes and goes. So this is his whole biography. Do artists have like bios on like when the after this opens up, it will be a marketplace, correct? This museum.com.
Correct. So yeah, we'll have a separate website, probably app or marketplace.museum.com, where you'll be able to trade the secondaries for museum. And we've kind of found a partner to help us build that. And then for the initial mint, it serves as kind of like a there's about and there's artists. There'll be another tab called gallery, and you'll be able to see all of the pieces. You can filter, you can sort, you can do everything to pick your favorite piece and then mint it.
So when you said app, do you mean like you guys also have an app too, like a iPhone
We
app and
do
stuff?
actually. So yeah, we're building a companion app to the website. So the digital dashboard, we're building a phone app as well, where if you're someone on the go, everything's in one place on your phone, or it's on your website, or whatever it is. It's your choice. But that's probably going to be between 8 and 12 months to get fully developed because we're just kind of starting on that now.
Mm. How do you feel about Apple trying to take a bite of any NFT sales on their App Store to the tune of 30%?
I think personally, it's kind of definitely a pro. I
A
think thirty
pro.
percent is a lot,
Oh,
but I would give 30% any day to Apple because they're going to be bringing a billion people to the community. Who right now there's 100,000 people that are active in NFTs. If they're able to properly bring in their community of a billion people, it's going to completely change the way NFTs work. So I think 30% is a lot. I mean, what Meta, when they released their metaverse, they were saying they're going to take what 50, 60%, something like that. So I think Apple, for them to enter the scene, they already take 30% if you sell, through in-app purchases on the App Store anyways. Like if you go and buy something on the App Store, it's 30% being taken from revenue from the creator anyways. But that's kind of how, marketplaces work. I mean, today, if you go on Magic Eden or OpenSea, they're probably going to take what, between 10, 15%, something like that.
2.5, isn't it?
But for a launch pad, I'm talking like if it's
Oh,
done through
okay.
them, versus Apple, 30% is a lot. But for me, I think everyone should be looking into it. If you're a project founder and you're like, I want to attract a lot of clients, the best and collectors, the best way to do that is to have a billion people on their phones who generally probably have a couple bucks to spare who can go buy one of your NFTs. So I think it's something we're definitely kind of looking at and seeing how we can work with them as well.
I mean, 30% from 30 ETH is a lot, bro.
It is,
It's a lot.
yeah,
It's a lot not going into your pockets, bro.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of a bet you have to make whether you think it's worth it or not. It's obviously dependent, but I think for the average person or the average NFT project, maybe fine art won't work as well, but for a PFP, going through an Apple launchpad where it's like, Apple has the collector base, they have the community, Apple has created billionaires off of App Store games and applications and so forth. So I think it's going to be something which people will definitely utilize. And yes, it's a big percent, so it may not necessarily work for fine art, but I think it'll definitely work for PFPs and utility passes and so forth.
When is fine art season coming back, man?
I think it
Because I
started.
remember a while ago, it was hot. It was super hot.
It was
Everything was
pumping.
selling for a lot of money. Now
Yeah.
nothing's really selling anywhere.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, if you look long term, fine art almost always does better than your average PFP or your average kind of, utility token, and that's also in Web 2. The blue chip art generally does much better than, I mean, long term. If you look at the comparison between blue chip art and the S&P 500, which is blue chip companies essentially, in general, art has done and performed better than that of the S&P long term. And I think that's how it is in NFTs as well. I mean, if you bought a Fidenza, you're up 100x. If you bought into a lot of these gen art and one of one pieces, you could easily make between 50 and 100x. So I think it's coming. I don't know when exactly, the kind of mania is going to happen, but I think it's going to be when it does happen, and we've already seen mass adoption with now Christie's and MoMA entering. If we get a few more big catalysts like that of big people entering the scene, I think it could push the art scene forward significantly.
Does the multi-million dollar punk sales help uh, fine art, in your opinion?
I'd think so. Yeah, I think everything in the NFT space. If the NFT space is trending up, and it's more bullish sentiment than it is right now, I think all of the sectors within NFTs are going to trend up as well. I think, and one of the biggest ones in NFTs is art. And for someone to go and spend $3 million or $2 million on an ape or a punk, it's probably because of the rarity involved, as well as to a certain degree, they think it looks cool or whatever it is. It's personal preference on every single piece, but I think it's bullish for sure.
Are you bullish on any PFP collections?
I am. Yep. I think a lot
Which
of
one?
the projects are interesting. I think long term, I'll have to see what's kind of still here in 3 5 years, because my perspective is always long term. I think the NFT space long term is going to be something which is everywhere. Right now, it's only utilized for a few things, but long term, I think it's going to be integrated into almost everything. And I think right now, if I were to go and spend 20, 30 ETH on a couple NFTs, I'd probably, and I wanted to buy PFP, I'd probably go buy a kind of Doodles. I may go buy an Azuki. I may go buy a Mutant APR Club, something like that. The blue chips are generally what I think are interesting. And of course, there's new mints coming out every day, free mints, cheap mints, whatever it is. But long term, I really doubt any of these projects are going to be there. So yeah,
You can go buy a Pixelmon. They're making a comeback. I don't know if you saw.
yeah,
They
I
got
saw that.
a new founder now.
Yeah,
Something X, I think it is. I don't know.
yeah, I
Maybe that's
saw
a
that.
flake in. Maybe need to stack some Kevins on their what is it? Not play to earn. It's
Play
play and
and earn,
no, they have
play and
a different
save,
model. It's something
stay and earn,
I haven't really heard of before, but that's what they're
dance and
doing.
earn,
They're doing a free play as well.
torque and earn. No,
Yeah.
you're not
Anyways,
in the torque.
we'll wrap it up. We're at the hour mark. Museum, thank you so much for coming on, talking about it. Really excited to hear that I really like the idea of the 100 artist, the main artist drop also being part of the utility that you guys offer. That's awesome. I'll definitely be following. Got a lot of knowledge out of this one interview. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. It is Thursday, so we'll be back Monday, next Monday at a regular time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully, Ken has an update for you guys on the giveaway. Any update on that,
Give
Ken?
away you promised, Chris. You've been promising. When are you gonna give it away,
All right,
Chris?
so
Huh?
we'll have to circle back to that. Ken and I can talk about that afterwards. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next time. And a round of applause for Museum. Appreciate everything.
Yes, museum. Hold on,
awesome.
Chris.
Thank you so much.
Tell people where to go to find you. When's the mint date? Like, give us the details real
Oh
quick.
yeah,
Yeah, so no set mint date. We're looking at sometime in October or early November. But yeah, I think best way is go on the Twitter or the Instagram, go to the Discord, and kind of join in. We have a variety of people in there who are always chatting about art, as well as a variety of other things. So yeah, I think that's the best way to kind of stay up to date.
All
sweet.
right,
You know where to
cool.
find them. And check that out. See you guys next time. Peace out.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.